Cape Town Mayor Geordin Hill-Lewis is officially Cape Town's youngest mayor. In his inaugural speech, the 34-year-old said good governance is and will remain non-negotiable in the metro. While he joins us live. Good evening to you, and thank you so much for your time tonight. So you come in at a time where your organization, the Democratic Alliance, is losing its share of the vote in as far as retaining the city of Cape Town is concerned. How does that, or how will it be informing your approach in your current position?
Thank you for the invitation. It's lovely to join you. Pleasure to be with you this evening. Well, at the same time, I am very grateful that the city of Cape Town is the only metro in the whole country that is not having to go through messy coalition talks, which are absorbing so much of the national attention at the moment. We have got an outright majority government rather, and we have a strong mandate for the plan that I put forward to the voters in this election. Of course, it's true, yes, we did lose a bit of percent, and that's partly why I decided to run for the position of mayor, because I thought that Cape Town needed some fresh thinking, some fresh energy, and we need to get some brave things and important things done for the city in the 5 years ahead. So I'll be looking, forward to doing that and working hard to win back the confidence of every voter, and work even for those who did not vote for us. We are the mayor and the servant government of all the people of Cape Town.
So give us a sense of what some of your fresh and brave ideas entail.
Well, the first thing I said in the campaign, very, very loud and clear, was that we cannot wait another 15 years for Eskom to sort out load shedding. It is not getting better, it is getting worse. And every turnaround plan we've ever heard for the last 15 years has ended up only in more load shedding, not less. So it is time for brave local governments to stand up and say, load shedding is killing our economy. It will kill our economy. There's no way we can grow our economy if we don't have power. So we've got to end load shedding in Cape Town. And I'm absolutely determined that we must do that. And it would be a huge boost to our local economy and would really help get lots more people out of poverty and out of unemployment and into work. And so frankly, all of the talk that we hear at a national level about unemployment and poverty is all nonsense, so long as you don't even have enough power to run your economy. So that is priority number one. Then we said we've got to really fill the space and take up the space that has been vacated by a retreating and slowly collapsing South African police service, so that we can keep residents safer in Cape Town and give them the peace of mind that comes with safety. And the same goes for public transport. We've just seen another suspension of a CEO at PRASA, a state-owned entity that is truly in a despicable mess, and the consequences are profound for Cape Townians and in fact for South Africans in every major city where the rail system has collapsed. So again, I would really like to see Cape Town leading the way in the next decade in redefining the passenger rail and integrated public transport system, to say this must be done with private partners. Government doesn't have the money to fix the rail system anymore. It is too broken, just like Eskom, just like SAA. And the state should play its proper licensing and regulatory role.
So just a couple of questions that I have for you then, based on what you've just said. On the issue of power, does that mean that Cape Town is going to be now working on generating its own capacity for power?
No, it's about buying power from independent power producers, which is much, much cheaper than Eskom power. And importantly, this is the key thing that Joburg got wrong when they made their announcement, is you've got to have storage capacity. And that's what we need to do some very detailed financial work and modeling on at the moment. How do we pay for storage capacity so that you can buy power from IPPs, but you can't, unless you have that power available during load shedding, obviously you can't stop load shedding. So you've got to have a way of storing that power, and that is really the secret, the key.
One of the big issues around safety and security, in some parts of Cape Town, there's been a complete failure depending on which communities we're talking about here. How are you planning on improving that, not just from a point of view of perceptions where some communities feel that they're deliberately left out of the delivery of some services, including policing, to ensure that the entire city is a lot safer than what it is right now?
Yeah, well, look, over the last 3 years, the South African Police Service has cut its number of police officers in Cape Town by 551 officers. In places like Grassy Park, some of the key hotspots in the city, those police officers are working, and they are wonderful, brave people. I'm not for a moment criticizing them. They do mostly an excellent job, but they are working with a fraction of the resources they need. In Grassy Park, 1/4 of the police resources they need for an area of that size and population and crime intensity. And
but the cuts have been national.
Yes, they've been national, exactly. But they, even predating the cuts, Cape Town was already one of the worst police resourced, and now it's had further cuts on top of that, 551 officers in the last 3 years. But we haven't simply, and this goes to your question, we haven't simply thrown up our hands and said, there's nothing that we can do about this, please go and speak to Mr. Bheki Cele or Cyril Ramaphosa. We've said we will deploy 1,000 of our own trained law enforcement officers, so far nearly 1,000, into the worst hotspots in the city. And the early indications are that it is beginning to work. And certainly the reports that we receive from SAPS itself is that these officers are hugely helpful and effective in supporting their work and bringing down violent crime in those hotspots. And I would really want to see us continue to invest in that program. That is a joint program of the City of Cape Town and the Western Cape governments, and I would love to see it continue and even grow.
There seems to be a view that suggests that if, particularly under your watch again as a candidate of the Democratic Alliance, if the city is unable to ensure a more equitable distribution of services, you do run the risk of losing even more voters come the next local government election, especially where we look specifically at where you have lost some of the black vote and the colored votes from those communities and constituencies. How worried are you about that? And is this going to have a material difference for the kind of resources that we see flowing to what are considered the disadvantaged areas of Cape Town versus your leafy suburbs?
Okay, well, that's a perpetuation. That question is a perpetuation of a certain narrative, and I want to address it in full. Let me just say again, I think the election results say something interesting about what voters feel. The only city in the whole country that has an actual stable government is Cape Town. And that is because it is the only city that actually works and delivers services to all of its residents. Every other city is either in a state of already having collapsed, or in near collapse, or in a critically severe and urgent situation teetering on the brink of collapse. Cape Town is working. It is going in the right direction, slowly but surely. Of course, it has a lot of work to do, and I've spoken a lot about this in the campaign, particularly in the poorer communities, to make sure that every single person in Cape Town feels what we call the DA difference, that they feel respected and cared for, that they feel that this is a government that delivers excellent services across the board, that their calls are answered, their complaints are attended to quickly. That is absolutely the standard that I set, and I know that the DA sets, and that I will hold this government to. The second part of your question, of course, it also is true that every single person, every single voter is extremely important, and it would be very unwise of any person, any elected politician, and certainly I will not do this, to not worry about voters looking elsewhere or going elsewhere. And that is why the democratic change of governments is so important for accountability and good governance. The DA does not take its majority for granted. We know that voters always have other options, and so we have to earn their vote in each time. And I certainly plan to do my very best to earn their votes ahead of the next election.
Newly elected Cape Town Mayor Geordin Hill-Lewis. Let's leave it there for tonight.